I'm here with Ivana Devčić. She is a technical writer from Croatia who has a really interesting story. Welcome to Technical Writing Uncensored.
Thank you, Diana. It's so great to be here. Thank you for, allowing me to be a guest on your channel. I guess I love, trying new things, and this is something new for me. So I'm really excited.
Oh, awesome. So I ask everyone, tell me how you got into technical writing.
How I got into technical writing. It's not so unusual, I guess. It's not really unique or maybe not even that interesting. I studied to be a translator, actually. I studied English and Swedish, like a double major. But I didn't spend much time working as a translator because if we are allowed to be fully honest here, which I guess
Absolutely.
Uncensored, I found it kind of tedious and maybe a bit unfulfilling. And the job market was really tough even back then. It was kind of a race to the bottom in a sense. I don't know if you heard that joke, like translators are like elephants because we're paid in peanuts.
Oh, wow. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's not even funny, I guess, but I've heard that in some shape or form. But yeah, the translation courses I took in college, they helped a lot with technical writing, though. I realized that later when I got into it. Like lots of practice writing and editing different content types and just, understanding this intercultural communication and just understanding that people read things differently or they have different needs. So you learn how to adapt content for their needs. Like you need all that as a technical writer later. Also, you learn very early to let go of your ego, because similarly to technical writers, translators don't really get to sign their name on their work. Like there's no you don't get any credit, for that. You just work quietly in the background to help people. So yeah, I took those courses, but I didn't really work as a translator. I got into technical writing pretty quickly after college, I guess. I was working as, I guess you could call it a tech journalist. I was doing,
Really?
I was doing software reviews for online magazines and a couple of print magazines as well. I mostly covered open source software because I was trying to promote it. I was really into a couple of communities. I was sort of active in promotion and, open source projects, they often need help with documentation, but they also need help with promotion and marketing.
They need help with everything. That's why they're open source.
Good point. Yeah. So I was trying to do that. I guess you could call that technical marketing or technical content marketing, something like that.
Technical something. Technical communication, certainly.
Exactly. But yeah, I was always very into tech. I actually wanted to study computer science when I was a tiny kid, but I was never really good enough at math, and you kind of had to be. But I was always very good at writing. So I thought, hey, maybe I can combine the two, writing about tech, and then boom, mind blown. That's tech writing. That's how you learn it's an actual career, and that's how I guess realized this is something that I could do with the skills I've acquired. Yeah.
So how walk me through how you got from translator to tech journalist? I mean, was there a job ad that you answered, or did you?
Yeah.
Start?
Yeah, I was a bit active in some local open source communities, and I guess I don't know. I just developed this love of trying new apps. I always loved trying new tech, and I was testing different kinds of apps. And I saw there was I guess a job posting where they were looking for someone with experience in open source and who would be willing to write, roundups of, recommendations for best apps or just how-to guides as well for people who are not so familiar with, for example, Linux as an operating system. So I guess that was already some kind of technical writing back then, because I was actually writing those how-tos and tutorials, how to install something, how to get started with it. And yeah, that was I did that for, I guess, 4 or 5 years maybe before I actually, got my full proper technical writing job.
Okay, cool. What was interesting for you about the technical journalism?
I guess the freedom to choose what to write about, because when you're hired somewhere, you're just writing about their products, right? Or forever, I guess. And here I had the freedom to pitch my own ideas, do a lot of research, sort of, choose what to represent in what way. I think that was the most exciting part. Yeah, just like always something new. There was always something new coming up, or new apps coming up, being released, new releases of existing apps, or a new Linux distributions coming out. So there's always something new that you can sort of catch and write about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of writing do you do now? Like what kind of writing is in demand in Croatia, or are you global? Are you working remote?
I do. Yeah. So I'm currently employed like full time at a cybersecurity company. So I do. Well, I guess I do product documentation for their software. So I guess I'm a technical writer in software documentation, and that's pretty much what I've exclusively done. And I think that's the most common, most, I guess, as you said, in demand right here. I guess in different industries, right? We have, companies that make different types of software, but they all need a technical writer for their industry. But as you expand into the region, like in the European Union and further to the west of Europe, I guess, the opportunities tend to get more interesting. I do have like a small consultancy, but I mostly do API documentation there. So I just help people get started with OpenAPI. And yeah, I love helping people set up their first like documentation website or project. I've done that a lot through this consultancy. So that's kind of a side hustle, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun and really interesting.
It is, yeah.
I think that the cybersecurity realm is so interesting and fascinating. There's so much happening there right now. Have you found anything really interesting in your work there?
Well, I don't know. For me, it's kind of more complex than it seemed. Like there's, I guess, this like surface level that everybody really knows, but then as you go kind of deeper, it gets more complex and sometimes even scary in a way.
How so?
I don't know. Like there's a lot of different types of, I guess, malicious people who want to do really bad things to other people's systems and data. And yeah, when you start like going into that and you realize how these attacks are performed and how difficult it can be to protect yourself, from that, I'm like, okay, but in a way, it makes you feel kind of like, I don't want to make it sound like too, it kind of makes you feel like a hero because you're protecting those people.
Well, yeah, you're fighting the bad guys. You're
exactly. That's how I sort of describe it to myself. I mean, I personally haven't found anything, I don't do research, but we do have a research department and our experts, they have like a blog where they post pretty regular updates on, new types of attacks or new types of threats that they've encountered. And yeah, it's just, we're currently focused on software supply chain protection. That's the product that I'm working on. So we have a lot of that going on. That's basically just, malicious attackers trying to invade open source projects and set up something there that other people will then use unwittingly, poison their own projects.
Oh, geez. I hadn't even thought about the open source angle to that. I mean, everybody just comes in and uses open source. So like, how would that work? Does someone like put a virus in an open source project or what?
Yeah, there's a couple different techniques. I guess the most common ones would be, there's one that's like really sinister where you join a project, right? And you're sort of pretending to be a contributor, or I guess you are a contributor, and then you contribute actually like good, useful code for a while. And then you gain access to some maintainer or administrator functions that otherwise you wouldn't have as a regular contributor. And then you abuse those. You just use like your access rights to do whatever you want, essentially. Once they give you access, you can steal secrets. You can change the way the package, like the final release package is built, and you can put malware into that. There's also people who create like fake repositories for open source projects. So they essentially rely on people making typos in the name. So they register a project with a really similar name to a very popular one. And then they count on people making a typo or a mistake when they search for it. And they expect this confused person would install this malicious package. I think that's very common, actually.
That is horrifying. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you have to be very careful when using anything really, but open source maybe especially. And there's like thousands of examples of that. Every month there's something new that gets discovered, and yeah.
There's a special name for it, like spoofware or something? I mean, a lot of times there's a name for that.
I think it's, you mean the technique is called typo squatting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they essentially prey on people making typos by squatting a name. So they register the name in advance and squat it until the package gets more popular, or I don't know, until someone installs it. Yeah. Okay. I think you can search the type of squatting and you'll learn more about the technique, I guess.
I think I will, because that's a new one on me.
Wow. It was new for me as well, yeah, but I guess it happens a lot.
Wow. Well, when we talked earlier, you mentioned that you had a community of technical writers with non-traditional backgrounds where you are. Please tell me about that. Are you all translators or something else?
Yeah, so I can't really represent everyone. I'm just one person. And yeah, just like a disclaimer, I am just sharing, my personal observations from other technical writers I've met and talked to and hired or interviewed. But yeah, so Croatia is a really small country, both in area and in population size. So it kind of makes sense that our community of technical writers is not very big. And the reason why we all have these sort of non-traditional backgrounds is that there's still no formal education path to becoming a tech writer. And I think there's not a lot of awareness about this profession either. In school, for example, in high school or whatever, if a teacher notices you love writing, they will never encourage you, hey, you can become a technical writer. Nobody will ever tells you that's a possibility. They always hey, you can, study something lucrative and then do writing on the side as a hobby, as a passion, right? Of course, you could take courses or certifications, or you can study technical writing in the European Union. We can take advantage of that. But first, you need to somehow become aware that, technical writer even exists as a thing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think we have, we obviously have people who are employed as technical writers, but we have many people who do the technical writing job without it being their official title. Really? For example, in banks, if you install a banking app and you get some instructions for it, someone wrote it, but the bank doesn't have a technical writer formally employed. I think it's usually marketing or support people who write these things, or in public institutions. My mother worked in one of those. And, they had to write instructions for citizens how to use public services. And she's not a technical writer by all means, but, they had to cover this need, cover this gap for content as part of their job. So, yeah, I think we would all benefit from raising awareness of this profession. If we had a community, a more formal community that could help writers, connect and exert some kind of influence maybe outside the community as well. I mean, there are professional associations and organizations for tech writers in Europe. And of course, nothing stops us from joining them. But if we had something local where we could tackle our sort of unique challenges and build a support network, I think that would be beneficial for everyone. So yeah, it would be great to have something like Write the Docs Croatia or Write the Docs Southeast Europe, something like that. So if anybody wants to organize something like that, maybe get in touch with me. I would love to have something.
Yep, there will be contact info in the description, guys. Take a look.
But yeah, to get back to your question, I guess I can give you some more specific examples if you're interested.
Absolutely.
What backgrounds people actually come from, or at least that I've met. So again, there's translators as I am, and people who study languages, linguistics. I think they do best when they have software localization experience, because that gives them, I guess, this sort of technical background that they will need. And it also helps them understand the UI, the user interface, and sort of map it to different concepts. I think I think that's where they feel most familiar. So when they start writing documentation, they usually focus on describing the UI itself, which again, might be for one type of user, not for everybody. But yeah, they do really well at UX writing because of this. Like anywhere where you need like short copy, I think they're good at that. And obviously like copy editing skills, spotting inconsistencies, all kinds of like language weirdness that you have. I think a translator will always catch that. And then you have tech journalists as well. I've worked with people who were previously tech journalists, like myself, I guess. They're usually best at writing how-to guides, like really focused guides. And they quickly pick up technology, like any kind of tech tools, because they're used to, learning all the time about something new, writing about it, even if it's just like a short news piece. They still need to be able to do the research and, be aware of how it works. Teachers are great at communicating. Obviously, right? They're really good at asking questions, interviewing subject matter experts. I found that they really excel at that. Then obviously customer support. People who work in customer support, they often want to switch to technical writing, at least here, but probably elsewhere too, right?
It's a pretty common path, I've noticed.
Yeah, I found that they were best at developing like targeted docs for different user personas because they've kind of seen it all. Like they communicate with different types of users. They already kind of can predict like what people are going to ask for, so that they're really great at that. Music students. I've had some music students, or people who studied music at like a musical academy. They wanted to be a tech writer. I found them really, really open to communication, connecting with other teams. They were really great at that. And they're like sort of fearless when it comes to asking questions. They're never embarrassed, like, oh, I'm going to ask a stupid question, because I guess they're free in that sense that they don't really know anything. Well, anything that's not really fair, but I guess if their technology is limited and they are aware of it, they're not afraid to ask, anything and learn it. There's no stupid questions, right? They really embrace that. I really appreciate that in them. And then I guess librarians, they're also kind of obvious.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I found that they were really good at, again, obviously organizing information and, building these like information architecture plans and everything. Yeah, that's the types of tech writers I've at least worked with. So yeah, I'm sure there are many more. I apologize to all the different people I'm leaving out.
You named a lot of them, including a few that were new to me. So it sounds like there are some advantages to having a, non-standard path into technical writing. And I think that you've done a great job of kind of talking about the strengths of the various people from the different paths. But have you found any particular challenges in that path for yourself or for other people?
I can speak for myself. I don't want to paint others in a bad light. I did find some people have trouble adapting to working with more formal style guides. I don't know. I guess everybody kind of struggles with that when you change to a different type of job. You sort of understand the concept of a style guide, but it's hard for you to get used to it, I guess, get used to a different style than the content that you were previously writing. For me personally, one of the greater challenges was not knowing the technical writing lingo, if that makes sense. Because when you study this formally at a college and a university, wherever, you will get, I guess, all of these terms defined in a way. You will know what a content model is. You will know what information architecture is. You will know what Docs code is. And for me, when I started my first job, I didn't know any of that. So I sort of lacked this theoretical background that I needed to talk to people about putting these concepts into practice. Like I had an idea, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to explain it. Like just simple things like explaining the difference between a tutorial and how-to guide and why we need one and not the other. It's hard to convince people when you kind of sound like you don't know what you're talking about. And you also need to know what to search for to find good examples, right? Or best practices or potential solutions. You need to know what things are called to be able to search for them.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Another thing was maybe, but that's not. I guess it's not unique to Croatia or me personally. I think that's some more of a universal experience. Maybe being a first technical writer in a growing startup. That was that's common, I guess. But that was for me personally. So that was my first job as a technical writer, and I was their technical writer, like first one ever. So nobody really knew what was going on. You kind of don't know what's your place there, and they also don't have a place for you, so you get switched between different teams, also literally like moved from one office to the other. You kind of you kind of feel like you're not really fitting in anywhere. You're maybe unsure, like, is there really a future for me here if they don't have a career path planned for me or anything. And yeah, it can be challenging to drive these important decisions with so little experience. But I was lucky that the environment that I worked in, the company, was very positive and supportive. So, in the end, we figured it all out. I had a really lovely mentor who was very patient. I don't know if he's watching this, maybe Josh. Hi, thank you for everything.
Hi, Josh.
Yeah, I think it helps to have just one person who supports you and understands you. It is valuable. It's so valuable. Like, you can't even imagine.
Is that why? So you mentioned in passing when we talked before that you were mentoring people. Is that why you became a mentor? And please
partially, yeah. I wanted to sort of give back, pay it forward. What was the expression, right? Like, do something nice for others. But also, yeah, I thought I never felt like I had a lot of, super useful knowledge to share, because everything I learned from pretty much the internet. Like, I think more than 50% of everything I've learned about technical writing is from Write the Docs.
Which is not a bad place to learn.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place. Like, I owe so much to them, and I would love to contribute more to the community. I don't know if this counts. I guess you're part of the community as well. So maybe
why not?
We're contributing together. But yeah, but I thought, maybe I don't have a lot of knowledge, but maybe my specific perspective or the path can help others who are in a similar situation, especially because, for people who live somewhere where it's difficult or impossible to get this like formal certification, and they start doubting themselves, maybe like, oh, can I really be a technical writer without a degree? I thought, maybe I could help these people with some advice that I had.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be like a total expert in everything. You just need to know more than the person that you're talking to, and then you can help them get up to where you are. That's what I think.
Yeah, definitely. But it's kind of, I guess, hard to see that sometimes. Maybe because of like imposter syndrome or whatever.
My theory on experts is you become an expert by making all the mistakes and still sticking with it. Like,
that's a good quote. That's a quote for the ages.
When I was working at a company where we used Madcap software, I had been there the longest, and I don't consider myself an expert in Madcap by any means, but I had made a lot of mistakes, and I had fixed those mistakes. So when new people would come in and they'd be like, Diana, this thing is going on. Why is this? I'm like, oh, I can help you with that. And pretty soon they're like, oh yeah, Diana's the Madcap expert. I'm like, what? When did that happen? Oh, okay. I guess so. That's what we're going with.
You were that person that everybody was coming with questions, and they got the answers that helped them. So I guess, that's what works.
And look in the mirror, Ivana. That's you too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and please tell me more about your API doc consultancy. That is so interesting.
Oh, is it? Well,
it is to me. I've never done an API doc consultation business. So yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of started when I learned that I want to be like specific. This is just RESTful APIs, like the easiest.
Oh, just RESTful APIs. That's all. Yeah. Just RESTful. Not like RESTful APIs are big and giant and all encompassing or anything, but just RESTful.
I mean, again,
it's a big thing. You take credit for that.
But, yeah, I got really interested in that because at first I was really, I guess, kind of intimidated by this topic. When I started learning, I was like, oh my God, APIs are so complex. I would never learn this. This is so difficult. And then you start actually working with the tools. that are available to you to actually start use the APIs for some specific purpose, not just like pretend to use them to understand it, but actually like get something that can be used later or be useful to you in some way. That's sort of what helped me learn how all that works. And then I got interested in API design, specifically like the decisions that people make before they actually write the API. Like, why does this work this way? Why are these parameters called this specific way? Why can you combine them and not the other ones? And why is this a path parameter and not a query parameter? There's like so many things that go into designing a good API and a bad API as well. And so, yeah, I got access to some courses, some really good literature on this, and just started to, dig into that and try to learn more. And I wanted to, I guess, advocate for better API design practices within the company that I was working at that time. I tried to sort of help developers when they start. I guess I went a bit out of my lane. It's not really something that a technical writer maybe should do, but I really just wanted to help them and, just build better relationships, because in the end, I would also benefit from them doing the specifications and doing better work in general. So I tried to teach them and help them write open API definitions. That's mostly what I do through this consultancy. So when I find clients that are interested in either developing their first API reference or just starting to use OpenAPI, or they have a bunch of let's say legacy documentation that they want to migrate, that they want to start using OpenAPI, or they need someone to set up their tools, or just review and do some rules for linting and just making sure that the specification itself is correct and that the API design makes sense. That's the sort of things that I enjoy doing, and I try to do that to help people. So those are not big projects. That's something really short term that you can do and that can still have a bigger impact, because if you do it well, and if the client is satisfied, it's a good chance that they will continue using this approach, and that whoever gets hired later or works currently as a technical writer there will also benefit from that, and will get access to all these tools that can help them automate and maintain this API documentation. Yeah, I don't know if that's answers the question, or I'm just
no, it did. It went in interesting directions. Honestly, okay. I think that technical writers do our most valuable work when we are allowed to kind of get out of our lane and get involved in other things like API design or UX design.
Yeah.
And that. And it's yeah, you're making the world better one API spec at a time. That sounds like a lot of fun. And really
wish. There's still surprisingly resistance. Some teams just don't want to do it. They want to stick to the way they've always done it. And yeah, I guess I don't fight it. If people don't want it, it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to convince them, but sometimes you just sell it hey, this will be good for the business because reasons. And then they're like, oh, okay, we can spend more time doing other things instead of this. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's an argument I come up with when I get but we've always done it this way. We should do it this way. Well, if you do it my way, then you're less likely to get the call at 3 a.m. asking you where the information is that I want to put right there in an easily searchable format. And
so does it work? Does it work for you? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
Most of the time it does. Sometimes they're like, no, I would rather not do that. I like it my way. But more often than not, they also would like to, this will save you time and money. This will cause you less annoyance in the long run. And if you do this, it will basically take care of itself. They're generally pretty strong arguments, at least I've found, for logical types like engineers.
Yeah.
But, the API, I've heard of docs-based API design. Is that the kind of thing that you do? Basically you write the API documentation and then the developers develop it to match the documentation, or do you do it the other way around?
That's actually a great point. I didn't bring that up. I did that once with a client that sort of wanted to experiment with that. And it worked well, but it was really unusual for me. So I'm not sure that I did a good job there, and I don't like I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I can't really get into that. But I've tried it once, and I guess they really wanted to try it because it kind of sounds like counterintuitive, maybe like the other way around, like you would other way around than you would usually do it. But if the developers are open to it, I think it can work. It's not that different actually from writing, any kind of design document or specification first, right? It's just that, you write everything in document, and they will still need some like extra technical details that might not be in your documentation. But I think it can still work. Yeah, I've definitely heard people doing it. I just haven't done it a lot. Yeah, that's why I didn't mention it.
Yeah, no worries. So we got a little over 8 minutes left. Anything else you want to talk about?
Anything else? I don't know. Maybe I could try to offer some advice.
Yes, that is a good point, because this is going to be my last question. Do you have any advice for new or aspiring technical writers?
Yes, I do. I have advice that I wish people gave me.
Best kind.
When I was starting out. Yeah. So if this can help just one person, maybe it will be worth it. So I guess I could give like 3 pieces, and then they can choose, or you can choose. Yeah. So the first thing would be to learn how to search and do research if you don't know it already. So what I mean by that is learn how to use search engines, and don't wait for others to answer your questions. Try finding answers first before asking a question. Why? Because this makes you look competent instead of helpless. And it also sort of trains your patience, and you're going to need a lot of patience as a technical writer, I think. So,
yes, you do.
Because while doing this research, you will have to read through all kinds of materials to find the information you need. And some of it will be bad and some of it will be useless, but you will have to power through. And again, another thing, like whatever tool your company is using to sort of manage work or store information, learn how to search with it like effectively, efficiently, learn how to find, code comments or support tickets that are relevant to the work that you're doing, because you can find some information and context there that you might not get otherwise. And this helps you ask better questions and understand this context more deeply. Then you actually get access to talk to subject matter experts, and they will maybe be more eager to help you when they see that you've done your research already. Like you've shown this independence and willingness to find information on your own. But then again, at the same time, I think I would say don't try to learn too much at once, like everything at once, because very little will stick. And you will sort of feel like you never fully understand these tools and the concept that you're working with. So like if you're just starting out, right, as a technical writer, you don't need to know how to work with Docusaurus and Entora and Sphinx and Flare and Confluence all at the same time, like immediately. Nobody really expects that. Like, well,
I know like 2 or 3 of those.
Yeah, like take your time, You can build yourself like a custom syllabus. You can borrow ideas from like colleges and universities that publish their technical writing programs, and then you can learn in a more structured way. Like that's kind of what I try to do. And when you get stuck or you don't understand something, it's okay to like take a step back and figure out why you don't understand it. Like, is it because you lack information? You're missing some fundamental knowledge maybe, or maybe it's just like badly explained. Maybe you just need to find a different source, because I found that learning is very rarely linear. Like it's not just a straight line to success. Like it's okay to circle around and take a step back and take a detour, take a break. And something that I struggled with was like this fear of missing out. But tech moves so fast anyway, like it's pointless to fear missing out, because you're already missing out. Like the moment you start, you're already missing out. So it's I think it's just, okay to take it at your own pace. And maybe the last thing, which I'm still really bad at, it's like never too early to start a portfolio. Update it regularly. Like while you're learning things, you can like take notes and turn those notes into portfolio pieces. When you produce something at work, like a different content type or solving a problem, write that down so you can use it later as ideas for, I guess, again, portfolio pieces. Or when people ask you, like in job interviews, like, how did you solve a problem? You don't have to invent a situation. You just have your notes from actual problems you solved through your work. And yeah, I guess another thing, figure out a way to protect your portfolio and your work samples from scrapers and just from people stealing it, republishing under your name. Because that's something that happened to me. I didn't really protect my portfolio well. And yeah, my samples got stolen. So if you can find a way to protect yourself early, it can, I guess, help a little bit. That's something that nobody really told me. And then, yeah, I got contacted by a recruiter because this person who stole it didn't change the name everywhere. So they're like, hey, is this yours? And I'm like, yeah, what's happening? So, wow. Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
How would you protect it, knowing what you know now?
You could, there are a couple different ways. I guess it depends on the way you're publishing them in the first place, the format. Are you putting them up on a website or whatever? You can make, I guess, read-only PDFs that can be copied or password protected, but then you need to give people passwords, which is difficult. I think maybe the most effective way is to just give a really short excerpt of your sample, and then you put like a link, contact me for more.
Yeah, full samples available upon request.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of probably the easiest way to do it.
Okay. Oh, great advice. Thank you so much, Ivana.
Thanks. I hope it helps. I really wish, someone told me, don't try to do too much at once and all that.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed chatting with you today.
No, I just want to say thank you to you, Dana, for chatting with me. And this was really, really nice and lovely. And I hope, more people will get a chance to be interviewed by you. I'm really looking forward to more videos from you. And yeah, everybody subscribe to Diana and like this video and share this video. And yeah.
Oh, well, I was going to close with, hey, everybody, thanks for sitting with us as we chat on Technical Writing Uncensored. Like and subscribe if you like it. So I guess you've been told twice. So yep. Excellent. Both sides of the pond.